So moving on to the Sunday game, but before we get to the first one, please hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. That would mean a lot. Hit the like button, the notification bell, share this with someone who likes football. That would mean a lot to us. So if you want to help the show, please do all that. So the first Sunday game, it's the Colts at the Lions. This line open up, Colts -3. It's still -3, although there's some 2.5s are popping up somewhere. So I think the Sharps like the Lions a little bit. And also a few hours before we started recording, the Lions traded for Everson Griffen, 6th-round pick to the Cowboys for Griffen. So what are your thoughts on this game and also the trade?
Yeah, I think the trade was a good one. It's a buy low 6th-round pick. Just one note on the trade. He will not be eligible to play this week because of the NFL's COVID protocols. So he won't have an impact this week. But I think it's a smart one for the Lions. They could use some more depth on the edge. So we'll see how that pans out. But I think it's a classic high upside, low risk move. So why not make it if you're hovering at 500 and think you might have a shot at a playoff spot? So yeah, they can go for that. This game, I like the Colts for about 2 to 3 units here. I'm actually kind of bullish on them a little bit. I think the Colts coming off a bye with Frank Reich as their coach, I think are going to be in good shape to have a good game plan ready against the Lions here. I also think that Darius Leonard is going to be back. He was out for the previous 2 Colts games before the bye when they kind of had more issues on defense. He is a big-time game changer for them, and we saw just how important he is. He's kind of the glue that holds the defense together and is super important to the front seven. So if he plays and he's ready to go, I think the Colts defense is going to be at its best, and it's going to be tough for the Lions to move the ball on them, even though they have some pretty good offensive weapons. Also, I think there's some look ahead here for the Colts, but I actually think this might be positive. They're coming out of their bye and they're playing the Lions. Then they get a 4-game gauntlet against the Ravens, the Titans twice, and the Packers. So I think if Frank Reich coaches this team right, he's going to say, hey, guys, we got a bunch of tough games coming up after this Lions game. Let's pour everything we have into this Lions game, get the win, and set ourselves up for a playoff spot if we can, take down the Titans and maybe one of the Ravens or the Packers. We got to win 2 of those games, but for now, let's focus on beating this guy. So I think there's a good chance that happens. And for the Lions, they're coming off kind of an unexpected and emotional last-second win against the Falcons. And I think they may be a little bit kind of riding high from that late comeback, thinking that they're in pretty good shape against this Colts team that didn't look all that great before the bye and really let the Bengals get out in front of them. So they may not take this game as seriously as I think they should. So I like the Colts here. I do think the Lions are playing better, especially on defense. They're averaging 19 points allowed the last 2 weeks. So I will be interested to see if they keep that up, but I do think the Colts are my favorite side here.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you this, but first we had a related comment. So Gary says, teams have been cold coming off the bye this year. I just checked, and teams coming off the bye are 5-5 against the spread this year. So, not much to go on there, but I think you have to take it by case basis. Like you just bringing up Frank Reich is a good example of that. The good coaches and good quarterbacks are going to be more prepared coming off a bye than, the bad coaches and the bad teams. So I think you have to look at it that way. But in relation to that, I agree that Frank Reich's a good coach and he benefits coming off a bye. However, Phillip Rivers in his career is 5-10 against the spread off a bye. So does that factor in at all for you?
Yeah, that should factor in a little bit. I wonder. I'm trying to think. His coaches were Norv Turner. Was it Mike? Which Mike was it? Mike McCoy?
Oh yeah,
and Anthony Lynn.
No, that's true. Yeah. Good point.
So some of them, obviously Norv Turner was a good coach for some time, but Mike McCoy wasn't any great shakes. And Anthony Lynn he always has his team close to winning, but never quite gets there. I want to like him a lot as a coach. So I wonder if the coaching has some sort of impact, but that it's certainly notable at the very least that Rivers is 5-10. You have to throw that in there a bit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, Frank Reich is definitely the best coach Rivers has had. So that kind of makes me feel better about it. I was worried about the look ahead as well. Like you mentioned, the 4 games they have coming up. It is tough, though. I mean, Reich could coach them up and say, hey, we need to win this because we have 4 tough games on the horizon. But then again, the players, I don't know if they're going to buy into that. They might see, oh, we have to prepare for the Ravens, and then the Titans, who are kind of our rivals, and the Colts have had, they've had good history against the Titans, but the Titans have a better record than them right now. And then, of course, Aaron Rodgers in between the two Titans games. So it is tough, though. But Darius Leonard being on the field is going to help a lot. Like, if he plays, I could see the Colts covering. If he doesn't, I would be on the Lions for sure. So I have to look forward to that injury report. I'll say right now, I was leaning toward the Lions, but you kind of sold me a little bit on Frank Reich's, being able to help Rivers improve that bad track record off a bye. So I'm going to go with the Colts, but I'm not going to bet this game.
All right. I think that's the second time I've convinced you to change a pick in the history of this podcast, and they've all come in the last 3 weeks. Yeah, I'm fascinated to see how this game goes, though, because I think your worry about the gauntlet coming up after the Lions game is definitely, it's well founded. But I buy that if they were coming off a bye, I would absolutely be on the Lions here probably. But I think coming off the bye, there's going to be a lot of sense of urgency of like, all right, well, the Titans just lost. Now they're vulnerable. We win this. We position ourselves to, compete with them the rest of the way, especially with 2 games coming up against them. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm glad you're on my side here, even if you're not betting it.
Yeah, G-Chuck, Schottenheimer was Rivers' first coach. And then he got fired after, what were they, like 14-2 or 13-3, but they lost to Tom Brady in the playoffs. So they thought they had to fire Schottenheimer. It didn't really make much sense to me. What was the other game you convinced me on? I don't remember that one.
Baltimore versus the Eagles, but that was mostly because you didn't know that the Ravens were on bye ahead of the Steelers game. So that was more of just a scheduling glitch.
Yeah, the scheduling stuff that messed me up. I've learned, though. I learned from my mistakes to look ahead to the schedule to see if anything's changed. So I've made adjustments at least.